think obviously there's been an interest from the club in Maria for a couple of years. I think obviously she's got quality capabilities, quality deliveries, great on the ball technically, and has a very, very good delivery in terms of service.
As far as Bay FC this week, obviously they're a team that gets goals from a lot of different places, but they've also conceded a lot of goals at times too. When you look at them, what do you see and what do you think will be some of the key?
I think they've adapted to the league very well. I have to give them a lot of credit for the team they've built, the signings they've made, and the start they've made in the league. Yeah, they've conceded goals. There is obviously areas you can exploit, but they're also very dangerous. They're a possession-based team as well. They like to keep the ball. They've got some dangerous players. One I played with many years ago in Oshwala, so know her very well. And I think, yeah, it's going to be a difficult game for us.
All right, Theodore, go ahead.
Hi, Casey. We were just talking to Maria about the move, and she kind of made it feel like maybe most of the conversations she had with you were maybe back in December or prior to this trade window. So kind of just curious to say, like, hear what your conversations with Maria were like to say, hey, this is going to be a great place for you. This is how we're going to use you, either last week or back in December.
Yeah, I didn't speak to Maria during this trade at all. I spoke to Maria previously, like I said, back in December, when we obviously spoke to her about coming to the club, what the club looked like, what the club could offer, and obviously what she would offer us in terms of playing. And then this trade went through quite quickly. And obviously she knew a lot about the club from those previous meetings that we had, and obviously a bit about how I work and stuff, and I knew a lot about her as a player. So yeah, it was last minute trade, but yeah, it's I'm glad she's here, and I'm excited to see what she can do.
Can you just elaborate a little bit on maybe what you said in regards to like what you're about, what the club's about, what kind of goes into that mini sales pitch for her or any other player?
Yeah, I think it's about player development. They'll come here and get coached to get better. It's about trying to consistently win and build a club that can win and compete, because players want to win. And it's about how we do things and how we treat our players and our people, and make sure that it's an environment that they can thrive in and that their needs are met. So I think she heard what she liked. Obviously not the first time, because she re-signed for Houston, but this time it's definitely been positive.
Cheers. Thanks so much, Casey.
Johnny, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. So have the injuries that limited Shaw to start the year and Alex Morgan now, does that kind of make this trade for Sanchez a little bit more of a need?
Well, I think the trade was done before Alex got injured, so I'm not going to put it down to that. Obviously, it adds an additional player with talent in our attacking areas, which we need. We're not creating as much chances as we need, and we're not scoring goals. So it's something that, you know, the club were very keen on making sure that we had in our armour.
Thank you.
Jeff Kassouf, go ahead.
Thanks, Casey, for taking the time. You just mentioned Alex. Do you have a prognosis or an idea of how severe anything might be, or what it even is specifically?
She's got an ankle injury and she's out for this weekend, and then it'll be week by week from there.
Okay, thank you. And in terms of getting, I guess, I don't know if getting on track is the term, but, you know, getting to where you want to be with the squad. What do you think? I know you've been talking about Maria quite a bit here, but you know, what does that look like for you? Does she shuffle other pieces? Maybe does her arrival do that, or you know, how do you think? You know, what do you think is needed in the immediate here to kind of get in a flow as a team?
Yeah, we need to respond. I think obviously it was a poor performance from us against Orlando, nowhere near our standards. So we need to respond from that and make sure that we're better on the ball, because we turn the ball over too many times. We need to have better shape, and that's something I take responsibility for, the shape. So looking at that in detail, making sure we give the players the opportunity to be successful. And we've got to work hard. You know, we've got to work a lot harder to make sure that we're harder to beat, that we're defensively solid, and then we can attack from those foundations.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Steph Yang, go ahead.
Thanks. Hey, Coach. Steph Young from The Athletic. You're a coach, obviously, not a general manager, but you know, that there is communication there, I assume, about like team needs. What do you see here? What do you see there? Again, you said it was a trade done fairly quickly, but I'm just wondering what communication you can share in the club between yourself and Jill or your staff about, you know, okay, this is a player, how are we going to use her, or should we go after her, etc.
Yeah, I think there's always communication between technical team and the club and Jill. Obviously, it was a ongoing conversation with Maria. Obviously, we spoke to her prior to Christmas. So when the opportunity came here, when there was news that she wanted to move, it was I wasn't involved in the direct conversations at all. I was just aware the club were talking to Maria's representatives, and then found out a couple of hours prior to the Orlando game that the deal had been done. I don't get into the details of those. It's not my job. It's my job to coach the players that I've got and the team that I've got. And those are the conversations that were had.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, Cameron, Nia, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks, Coach, for taking the time today. Just yesterday, I think the Champions Cup teams were announced. Obviously, you guys are one of the three. Could you just talk a little bit about, you know, the importance of that tournament and kind of, you know, the opportunity that arises with, you know, something like that?
I think it's a great opportunity to test yourselves against different teams in different countries and different styles of play. It'll put our squad under quite a bit of stress at that point, which is a good thing. It's, are we ready? Are we able to compete in those levels? And I think it's another competition that we want to do well in. So it's an exciting time and something we're really looking forward to being part of.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
All right, we have time for just two more. Abraham, go ahead.
Hey, Casey, I was wondering if you could speak a little bit to, you know, you mentioned a little bit earlier, but the offensive and finishing ability has been one of the bigger issues with this team. So, does one player like María Sánchez kind of address that issue completely, or do you think that the team as a whole is gonna benefit a lot from a new player like that?
I think it's a collective responsibility. I think it starts with the ball in your creation phase and how you can move the opponent and how you can get into better areas. We need to do that a lot better, and that's a collective. Starts on the training field, goes into the match environment, and making sure that we've got people that are prepared to run beyond, people that are prepared to come off, and people that are creative. And I think, you know, we've got players here that can do that. I think Maria adds to that.
And is there an update on the injury status of Melanie Barcenas?
Yeah, she won't be available this weekend.
All right, last one with Jason. Go ahead.
Hi, Casey. Thanks for speaking with us today. You mentioned playing alongside Asisat Oshuala in the past. I was wondering what you've seen in her game in terms of an evolution from that point until today.
I think she's had an incredible career so far. I think she was technically a little bit raw when I played with her at Arsenal, and I think she's improved massively. I think she's technically can go off both feet. She can set and spin. She can get in behind. She has good intelligence with her movement and her runs, and she's a fantastic player.
I mean, just, you know, you mentioned after the game last week and as well in this call that the game wasn't up to the club standards. I was wondering how the week of training has been in terms of getting the reaction you want out of the group to boost yourselves for this weekend.
Yeah, I think the group's trained well. I think we've had more intensity in our work. We've had more work rate and effort, and I think they've been creating and doing some really positive things. So yeah, it's now about what we put out on the match field. You know, it's what happens on a game day that matters. We practice here and we do good things in training. How does that translate to 3 points on the weekend?